Boy, has it been a while, and am I ready to talk to you guys. Today I want to talk about Joe and Hunter Biden and the corruption that's surfacing. I want to talk about big tech censorship of that. Jeffrey Toobin has a terrible, terrible meeting. Ice Cube tries to work with the Trump administration. Coney Barrett, I want to talk a little bit about that. And a hoax text circulates, becomes viral, and even some mainstream media are picking it up and running with it. So stay tuned. I want to start off by talking about Joe and Hunter Biden. If you haven't heard, a laptop belonged to Hunter Biden, that is Joe Biden's son, was left at a repair shop. Evidently, it had some water damage. He took it to the repair shop and never went back and picked it up. Similar to if you have your car repaired, if you don't pay the bill, eventually it becomes property of the company, which I guess is what happened to Hunter's laptop. Then went to the FBI, and somehow Rudy Giuliani got his hands on it. A lot of compromising information on this. The Democrats and the left and the media are trying to play it like it's some sort of Russia disinformation. If you've been paying close attention, they've started to word it as Russian information, as if the Russians have now pushed this out. So they're not really. They started off sort of denying it, at least the media. Joe Biden's never denied it. He's not even really commented on it. He called it a smear campaign and a few other things, but really he's been hiding. I've not seen Kamala Harris come out and say anything about it. But the media was sort of implying, but not really directly, that this was wrong. And then now they're kind of backing off that just a little bit. They're more carefully wording how they're portraying this as a Russian information campaign. So everything indicates that this is actually real information. So you're probably wondering, well, what is it? Get to the point. So allegedly, there are emails and texts on this laptop. Some of the emails suggest that Joe Biden was getting kickbacks from foreign governments in exchange for some favors. Probably the most popular one is where his son Hunter worked for a company called Burisma. He was on the board there. From what I understand, he didn't really do much there, other than give them access to Joe Biden. Joe Biden sort of famously had a prosecutor who was looking.
I remember going over convincing our team, or others too, convincing us that we should be providing for loan guarantees. And I went over, I guess, the 12th, 13th time to Kyiv, and I was supposed to announce that there was another $1 billion loan guarantee. And I had gotten a commitment from Poroshenko and from Yatsenyuk that they would take action against the state prosecutor, and they didn't. So they said they were walking out to press conference. I said, no, we're not going to give you the $1 billion. They said, you have no authority. You're not the president. The president said. I said, call him. I said, I'm telling you, you're not getting $1 billion. I said, you're not getting $1 billion. I'm going to be leaving here. And I think it was, 6 hours? I said, I'm leaving in 6 hours. If the prosecutor's not fired, you're not getting the money. Well, son of a bitch. Got fired.
So some of this is kind of that missing link of was Joe Biden really getting kickbacks? You may have seen some stuff out there where he just sort of gets very angry and frustrated when people bring it up. So there's no doubt in my mind he's been getting kickbacks. If you look at sort of how much he was earning prior and post him being vice president, it's pretty staggering. The media is trying to cover it up for him, like I said. If you've been following it at all, you're well aware that as soon as the news broke, Twitter was just, taking down any information regarding this. You couldn't even post a link to the New York Post. Probably should back up a little bit. The New York Post actually ran this, they called it the smoking gun. And as it was going up in Twitter, Twitter was taking it down. I guess Facebook was doing something very similar. Even people were getting their accounts revoked for posting this information. The White House press secretary was one of them. So these aren't just like random yahoos like me out there doing something stupid and getting kicked off. These are the blue check mark, sort of the people who cover this, and yet people like the New York Times, they're just completely ignoring it. I think I saw something where the day it broke, it had 9 minutes total of coverage from the mainstream media. That's, ABC News, all the different various news outlets. It wasn't even asked at the town hall meeting that Joe Biden had. And since then, as I'm sure you guys are aware, he's not answering any question. He's just sort of hiding. It's pretty remarkable how everybody just sort of, all of the media and big tech have just sort of rallied around squashing this. It's really incredible. It's not anything that I thought I would ever see. You sort of grow up thinking, oh yeah, truth will prevail. It's going to be all right, and I suppose eventually it is. And there's a lot of people out there that are still, fighting the fight, me being one of them. So this would be a good time to ask you to subscribe and like and do whatever. I will be posting this video on YouTube and Rumble. Obviously, the potential's higher on YouTube, but I want to get Rumble going too, because I think if we can, sort of move away from big tech a little bit, at least as much as we can. I don't want to create two silos, but I think it would be good to sort of send a message and I guess do what we can to sort of help fight that fight. One thing that nobody's talking about is just really what this says about Joe Biden as a person. I know people are talking about like, he's a crummy guy because he's getting paid to do certain things, to act in a certain way, but I'm talking about more of the father side. So if you think about this, like, and I could be wrong, but on the surface, it seems like he's a really terrible father. Because you think about the situation that he put his son in. I couldn't imagine going to my son and being like, hey, look, I have an opportunity for you to make a lot of money. Now, if we get in trouble, if we get caught, you're going to prison. Like, who puts their son in that position? And then the other thing that's amazing is his son is getting slandered all over. Well, slander is not the right word, but he's getting, all this information is coming out. He's being drugged through the mud, and he's just going to ignore it. Like, why, if it's not true, go fight for your son. You cannot possibly be that cowardly. To me, this is a big problem. I mean, it talks about the integrity and the character of the man. I should also point out that there's claims that, and Rudy Giuliani turned it over to the Delaware police, that there's a lot of pictures of underage kids, I guess. Don't know. Hopefully, pray that those don't ever get released. But, it's interesting how Giuliani worded that. He said underage kids. He doesn't like say that there's any nudity involved. So yeah, it could be. I mean, either way, it's probably super creepy. But maybe it's not as bad as he's letting us believe. There was one text message that was on there that to me is really, really problematic. He talks about it's a text from Hunter to Joe that says something like his ex-wife had, his ex-lover, as Donald Trump would say. Let me back up a little bit. I know I'm all over the map, but I've been dying to talk to everybody. So, Hunter Biden's brother, Beau Biden, died several years back. His wife, or widow, then got in a relationship with Hunter Biden. So yes, he had a relationship with his ex-sister-in-law, which is super creepy. Okay? either way, during that relationship, text going back and forth that Rudy Giuliani, you can find it online. I probably should have been more prepared and just read them off to you, but I didn't. I'm freestyling it today. He, the text message says something to the effect of, his ex sister-in-law and ex lover turned him in for smoking crack and being nude on a Zoom call, and he was dangerous to children. Pretty obvious to me that this has something to do with a child within the family. Either way, it's not a good look for Joe Biden if your son is telling you, I'm, possibly being sexually inappropriate with a kid. He has an obligation to report that. So, just all the way around, this is all really very damning evidence against Joe Biden. Like I started to say earlier, I do think probably Giuliani's had this. Is it really crummy to wait for the quote-unquote October surprise? Yes, it's probably crummy. I don't feel too bad about it, considering it's looking like Hunter Biden is a really terrible person and did some really inappropriate things, maybe even with minors, and basically was ripping off, the American people. So, I think there was probably a better way of handling it. There's also things out there saying that the FBI's had the hard drive since December and they've done nothing with it. I feel like that information is fairly credible, at least as far as I can tell. So maybe they were never going to do anything with it, but to me, if you're going to do it the right way, I mean, if you really think Hunter Biden is a threat to children, you can't wait. You gotta turn him in now. You can't have him running around still being a threat. I think we all can understand that. So yeah, it should have been turned in earlier. Not totally cool with the way that went down, but I know he did it to inflict maximum political damage, or at least I believe. I guess I don't know that, but it's hard for me to believe that this just came up. Either way, the only reason I really feel bad about it is because if it did really expose somebody else to something or further corruption could have been avoided. In that regards, I feel bad about it. But I'm not feeling bad about Joe or Hunter because, it's their bed. They got to lie in it. So, also want to caution you on one thing that's kind of been going on, and I feel like I know this is deliberate. So all these pictures are surfacing and floating around on Twitter and Facebook and wherever of Hunter Biden with a crack pipe in his mouth. It's clearly Hunter Biden, doing, just posing in these strange poses, laying in a tub and, just being a weird guy, especially for a guy as old as he is. Really creepy, really weird. But what people are doing is they are mixing in stuff that is not credible, that is not Hunter Biden, and they're kind of lumping it all together. Okay, perfect example. You may have saw one where there's somebody you can't see his face, but he's snorting cocaine or something off of the backside of a woman. Okay, you can't see his face. What they're doing is, I don't believe for a second that's Hunter Biden, because if you go to the more reliable sources, that picture is not really included. That's just sort of floated out there amongst the others, and then sort of gets blended in. And I tweeted about this earlier. I retweeted it, but I think that's just a tactic to sort of throw false information sort of in the pot. That way they can then turn around and point to and say, look at all this. It's all fake. Well, we know that one's fake. How can we trust all this other stuff? So just be careful. Don't believe everything you hear. Check it out for yourself, because I think there's ways that, they're crafty. I mean, if you haven't figured it out yet, the left, they are crafty. If nothing else, all their policies stink. They make terrible decisions, but they will come up with a new way to sort of cheat the system, to muddy the water. I mean, some of the stuff they do is just brilliant and disgusting both at the same time. So just be careful if you're seeing these pictures. Try to, I guess, use your best judgment before you start throwing them out there. I mean, I think my opinion is some of this stuff needs to be out there because the mainstream media is not picking it up on it, and people need to know. I mean, if this stuff is true, which a lot of it seems like it is, Joe Biden's a problem as a president. Number one, he will make decisions based on getting cash. He has no integrity. Okay. Number two, what other information is out there that he will do to, what will he do to prevent more from getting out? So there's a lot of things. And also, going back to what I said earlier, if you're not going to stick up for your son in this situation, how are you going to stick up for the American people? I mean, it's just sad all the way around. It really is. I can't see how anybody can vote for him. I mean, I realize there's never Trumpers out there that just, hate him for yes, Trump says some dumb stuff at times. But I'll talk about that in another episode. I think I got the pulse on that. A lot of you probably do too, but. Okay, the next thing I want to do is cover Jeffrey Toobin of CNN. I think he writes for a paper as well. I'll put a picture of him up on the video, but I'm sure everybody's seen him. I guess they were doing some sort of simulation, some simulation of the election, and I don't know what. I'm embarrassed even saying this. You're like, hey, this is your second episode. You're already talking about this? Yeah, we're already talking about this second episode. So he got caught masturbating on a Zoom call. If you're not familiar with a Zoom call, which you're listening to podcasts, you're probably familiar with a Zoom call. But it's like Skype or something like that. It's a video conferencing software that you can use to hold meetings and see each other. Okay, so evidently he thought he had turned it off, and they had a break where they were breaking off into a huddle to discuss something. Don't know if he wasn't part of a huddle or he just was trying to remain silent, but he thought he was being private and he wasn't. I guess people of the party or the meeting saw it, and he's since been suspended. So I don't even know where to go. Obviously, so much wrong with this. The main reason I bring it up is not to embarrass him. That's like my second most reason, probably, is to embarrass him. He's kind of been a shady character for a while. I don't know if you guys remember this, but somebody else that works with CNN, it was a big story at the time, and I might be messing up some of the details because I'm just really going off memory. I didn't research it much, so maybe I'll do a better job of that next time. But somebody worked with at CNN. He got that guy's daughter pregnant and then tried to coerce her into an abortion. And I think that's, I'm going to get off topic here for a minute, and I didn't plan on talking about this, but I think that is, I'm totally against abortion. I realize there's some arguments for it. I'll go into great detail some point why I'm not really in favor of those arguments. But one thing nobody talks about is just sometimes, maybe even a lot of time, but at least a tangible amount of people are pressured into having an abortion by the man, right? Nobody ever talks about that. Women's right to choose, women's right to choose, women's right to choose. It's her body, her choice. Nobody ever talks about that there are 100%, there are people, men out there pressuring women into abortion. Nobody talks about it. You think those women wanted to kill their own kid? It's awful. Awful. So anyway, Jeffrey Toobin, back to him. No good segue for that one, but he gets caught. And the main reason I bring it up is there are people defending this, and they're framing it in such a way that they're saying, like, you're not uncomfortable that, you're not uncomfortable with what he did. You're not comfortable with the idea of masturbation, which is a complete and ridiculous comment. Okay, I don't know how, in the matter of, I don't know how long it's been since Kavanaugh was confirmed, but I don't know how we go from winking at somebody was sexist and you deserve to be canceled to defending masturbating in a meeting. It's crazy. It's crazy. There has to be a line somewhere in the middle where we should just agree on. Okay? But it just goes to show you how biased and crazy the media is. This guy's a left-wing nut, so they're going to defend him. Yeah, I'm not going to defend him. That's crazy. One other thing I wanted to cover is Ice Cube met with some of President Trump people to make a pitch about how to improve the lives of the black community. He got a lot of backlash on him. Just want to touch on it real quick. Think he did the right thing and sort of not backing down. We've seen too many people from the African American community reach out to Republicans or reach out to Donald Trump and really start to get some conversations going just for the left, just to beat them back down into place. I mean, it is just awful what the left will do when that happens. Call them all kinds of crazy names. Just really unbelievable. The one that really comes to my mind is, like, I think it was Chance the Rapper said, like, not every black person has to be a Democrat. And then, like, 3 minutes later, it's like, sorry, didn't mean it. Yes, they do. Yes, they do. We all need to think alike. Yep, that's what he said. So, obviously I'm exaggerating a little bit, but it just, I don't know. Good for Ice Cube for sticking up for it. I mean, you can agree or disagree with Ice Cube's plan, but he's got a purpose. He's committed to it. All the people that are sort of bashing him, he's just sort of taking it and trying to get his message across. So good for him. 50 Cent also came out and pseudo supported Donald Trump. And to be clear, Ice Cube didn't support Donald Trump. He tried to reach out to both sides and had a plan that he wanted to propose, how he thinks he can make sort of close the wage gap between the African American community and I guess the white community. I didn't look a ton into his plan, really very little at all. But I guess he was wanting to pitch it to both, and the Biden camp said, hey, wait till after the election. And of course, Trump's groups, I don't think he met with Trump, but Trump's camp's like, all right, let's see what you got. And Ice Cube said himself, he made a few changes based on the Trump team made a few changes to their plan based on Ice Cube's meeting. So good for him, sticking with his guns, trying to get something done. Can't blame him for that. Like I said, agree or disagree with his plan. He's sticking up for what he believes. He's fighting for what he believes, and good for him not being sort of beat back down by the left. I mean, they'll continue to try. Good for him. 50 Cent saw what the tax rate would be in New York City and was basically like, I'm out. Vote Trump. Knicks suck. I'm out. So a lot of people try to be like, hey, this is an endorsement, but I guess it's a pseudo endorsement. And same thing with Ice Cube. I think this sort of goes back to the other thing. We can't just, anytime somebody famous, and in particular with the African American community, go out and just start retweeting them and claim them as our own, right? Like, oh, we don't want to be doing the same thing the left does. You know what I mean? Just be happy they're on our side. Support them. If you're excited about it, if you're excited about their support, certainly, retweet it or tell them you're, whatever. Hey, glad you're on our side, whatever. But I wouldn't even say glad on our side. But what I think we got to be careful not to fall into is sort of implying like they endorse somebody when they really didn't, right? You don't want to, they're sort of slowly being red pilled. You don't want to push them away. You know what I mean? I think as people start to learn things, and even Ice Cube said this in his message, he in his video, which I think he has pinned right now on Twitter. So if you want to see it, but he's basically like he said, I did some research, and I I got a lot of stuff to figure out. So I think as people start to research what's going on, what's happening, I truly feel like, don't get me wrong, I don't like everything the Republicans do. I don't like everything that Trump does, but overall, I think we're moving in the right direction, and I think most people are smart enough to figure that out given the correct information. So, yeah, I mean, let them figure it out. If they're looking for resources or something, sure. You know what I mean? You want to provide them some insight, sure. And if you follow me on Twitter, you know I say crazy things all the time. Apologize. I probably will get better. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. I just get so frustrated with stupidity. I hope you guys can at least appreciate that. Every once in a while, I'll have like a moment of clarity, and I'll just be like, "Hey, good thought." But I don't know. If you follow me on Twitter or Parler, and I say something crazy, Parler, I'm not as active there, at least until it gets built up. But yeah, make sure you follow me there. Okay. Also want to talk a little bit about Amy Coney Barrett. She is about to get her hearing to be confirmed. Maybe you heard, is on Hillary Clinton's birthday. So how poetic is that? It's almost like they did it on purpose. In Trump's town hall, when he was asked about it by the moderator, I think he had an excellent answer. I hadn't really thought about it beforehand. Maybe I'll do like an analysis of his debate, because I think of his original debate. I think he did against Biden. I think he did terrible. I really do. I think he did terrible. I think he had lots of missed opportunities. But going into this town hall, really, I thought sort of the comeback to why are you pushing through this nomination so quickly? I really thought it would be something sort of vanilla, like, of course he's going to say, well, I was elected for 4 years, yada, yada, yada. But I thought, the case could be made like, look, I was running for president at the time. I didn't really have any control over what the Senate did or who they decided to take a vote on, and now I'm here. You know what I mean? I want to do this for the American people. But he said something so much better, and I think this will, I could be wrong, but I think this will resonate with people when they saw how crazy people acted at the Kavanaugh hearings. And he said, once I saw what they did to Kavanaugh, like, my opinion changed. It's like that, to me, that was an excellent answer. Excellent answer. I mean, and the reality is both of them would try to ram it through, both sides. Okay. Anybody pretending otherwise is just being silly. I mean, the left would have not taken a vote had the circumstances been different the first time, and they also would have crammed this one through too. So yeah, I don't think there's going to be any major shifts right away. I don't know. We'll have to see. I'll have to do a little more analysis on that. But I just thought it was kind of poetic that her nomination and confirmation, I guess, or not her nomination, but her confirmation hearing is going to be on Hillary Clinton's birthday. So the last thing I wanted to talk to you about is just a tweet that went viral of sorts, but was picked up on some mainstream people that clearly you could see it a mile away. It was a hoax. And you see these hoaxes quite often where it's a screenshot of a text message back and forth between like father and his son, and just something really funny sort of happens, or a woman and her boyfriend, whatever. Well, this one, they claimed, and I'll put a copy of it in the video if you're watching on Rumble or YouTube. You can see it over there, but They claim somebody tweeted Rudy Giuliani pretending to be Ivanka Trump, and Rudy Giuliani admitted that. Well, I need to back up. I need to back up. I'm sorry. I went too far. Forgive me. I'm new at this. Okay, so some videos, some screenshots or videos or a picture started surfacing. Looks terrible. I even commented on Twitter. It looks terrible, and I'm sure I'll be embarrassed when I see the actual video footage. But Borat's coming out. There's a new Borat movie coming out, and I guess in one of the scenes, a young-looking girl is flirting with Rudy Giuliani, and at some point rips his shirt off. Not his shirt off. Untucks his shirt. That's a better way of putting it. Untucks his shirt, and he sort of leans back on a bed to push the microphone he's wearing for the interview back into his pants. So it's that still shot of him laying on the bed, and it looks like his hands in his pants, and there's this young girl sort of flipping her hair, and it says, the caption reads something like, Giuliani fondling himself in front of a 15-year-old girl. Looks horrible, okay? It does look bad, okay? Now, evidently it's part of this movie. I don't know. I probably won't watch it, but at some point I'll probably see that scene, I'd imagine. I don't know. But, like I said, what I'm hearing actually happened is his shirt got untucked by this girl. I'm sure Giuliani's going to come off looking like a creep no matter what in this movie. And then he leans back to tuck it in, and that's when the still shot's taken, and then they try to, make it look worse than it was, although it's probably still pretty bad. Either way, so getting back to this viral tweet, some random Joe claims that he got a hold of a text that somebody had sent to Rudy Giuliani saying like, hey, is this Rudy Giuliani? And Rudy Giuliani saying, yes, who's this? And, then the person claiming they're Ivanka Trump. And then she's like, is all these rumors true? And he's like, mostly true. I need to talk with your father first. So now this is getting retweeted. Keep in mind what I told you earlier about actual credible stuff earlier getting pulled down from Twitter. Okay? Now this random Joe posts this video, and it's getting retweeted. Easy for me to say. And even like Rachel Maddow's commenting on it, and some MSNBC people and mainstream people. These same people who are completely ignoring all of the different stuff coming out from Joe and Hunter Biden. I mean, I'm telling you, people, the media is absolutely corrupt. I mean, very few people in the media have any integrity at all, and I know that's probably sounds terrible to blanket everybody like that, but I mean, I'm sure there's people that want to do the right thing, but at some point you got to have the courage to step up and say it. So kudos to the New York Post for actually posting that stuff. There's a couple people out there. I mean, you have the normal right wingers out there. I'm a big Dan Bongino fan. Obviously, he's out there saying, talking about this, and there's other people out there. But when you're talking about, like the mainstream, you have Fox covering it, and everybody else is pretending it doesn't even exist. So, all right. Sorry it's been so long since I put something together. I'll try to be more frequent. Also, sorry about talking all crazy and changing directions on you. I don't know. I kind of think maybe that'll be a thing. That's kind of how I think. So go off on tangents and just sort of want to get some stuff off my chest. So thanks for listening. Comment if you got anything you want to cover, or you have any thoughts on anything I talked about. Comment below, or subscribe, like, do all the normal things to help me out there. So thanks.